theory, because I am a streamer. I am technically, by some definitions, an entertainer. I don't know if I would call myself entertaining, but, you know, if I needed a specific descriptor for what my job is, I guess influencer is the word that comes there, like content creator, influencer, all that other fun stuff. So what is dead internet theory, and why does this matter to me at all? Well, dead internet theory is the idea that a large portion of online activity or content is generated by bots or AI automated accounts, which makes public spaces effectively feel hollow and easy to manipulate. Basically, the idea that most of the people you're engaging with are bots. So if you go on Twitter for any amount of time, you're going to kind of get that feeling. Real quick, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Have you seen the new Superman movie? And I promise this actually coincides with what we're talking about. But in the new Superman movie, there is a moment where Lex Luthor points out that one of the ways that he has gotten so much popularity on social media is by having a literal army of brainwashed monkey bots spamming social media with stuff that is in favor of himself. It's not a major plot point, it's not a big spoiler, but it is an event that happens in the movie. He has literal bots on Reddit and on Twitter and everywhere, just constantly spamming shit that is in favor of him and against people that he does not like. In most cases, that's going to be Superman. So, that idea is not science fiction. That idea is what we actually have on places like YouTube. If you've noticed, anytime I release a video, within the first hour of the video coming out, the porn bots are there. And it's always a picture of some girl's butt or a picture of some girl's breasts. And they say something like, I was having a bad day, but then I discovered this video. After sharing it with a few friends of mine, we've discovered a new tradition together, and now we laugh all the time. And I've gotten those bots so often that the people who really like doing the first game, when they get the bell notification icon, which you should click, by the way, after subscribing, which you should do by the way, those people have created a game where they say, I came here so fast, I beat the bots. I got here before the bots. It's a crazy game. It's crazy that beating the bots to something is something that you would even have to do. So, dead internet theory. The concept that bots are in a lot of your day-to-day life began as a conspiracy theory. In earlier days of the internet, it didn't have a whole lot of backing. Not a lot of people really took it seriously. It was a tinfoil-hatted conspiracy theory. And then, around 2016, Microsoft announced something. In 2016, Microsoft introduced Tay, a chatbot that was thrown onto Twitter. Now, I'm gonna make sure that my character is safe real quick so that I don't die. I am playing on hardcore, so I am actively gambling with my life when I read you this. Note, Aligunner, not Tay Zonde. As many of you know by now, on Wednesday, this is 2016, we launched a chatbot called Tay. We are deeply sorry for the unintended, offensive, and hurtful tweets from Tay, which did not represent who we are and what we stand for, nor how we designed Tay. Tay is now offline, and we'll look to bring Tay back online only when we are confident that we can better anticipate the malicious intent that conflicts with our principles. For context, Tay was not the first artificial intelligence application we released into the online social world. In China, our Xiaolace chatbot is being used by some 40 million people, delighting with its stories and conversations. The great experience with Xiaolace led us to wonder, would an AI like this be just as captivating in a radically different cultural environment? Tay, a chatbot created for 18 to 24-year-olds in the United States for entertainment purposes, is our first attempt to answer that question. So since this has happened, there have been so many different chatbots that have been announced. And while the chatbots that were brought in originally by Microsoft and others were publicly announced, we're gonna try this new thing. We're gonna have machine learning do the chatbot thing, which again has existed for a while, but we're gonna deploy it out en masse as opposed to having it as something attached to, say, Cleverbot. Liz Galahad says Tay was deliberately turned into a Nazi by trolls, if I recall. Again, that's because machine learning is easy to exploit. Machine learning is very easy to exploit because all you have to do is reinforce it over and over and over again with, well, let's go ahead and say it, the wrong ideas, and then suddenly it will start regurgitating those ideas because they are literally trained on conversation. So if they start taking more shit data from conversations, they will start outputting more shit data in conversation because it's what they're being trained on. Once a large language model runs out of information to consume, it starts being trained by other AI who are also putting shit information out into the public. So after 2016, after Tay, and after we've seen more versions of chatbots, again, Cleverbot and things like that we already got kind of familiar with as a fun little curiosity, after this, we started getting more bots around the internet. More bots engaging with content, more bots inflating views of content, more bots inflating social media presences for people and engaging with people who, in some cases, didn't know that they were being engaged with by so many bots, and in some cases knew, but really like having those big numbers and don't care. Exela was taken, says, poisoned AI, my favorite flavor. Yep. After 2016, we started seeing more people designing these bots game the virality of videos and game the virality of various other types of content. This was done because it was profitable. It is incredibly profitable for people to game a system that actively outputs money. Content creators, waste of resources. Advertisers, waste of resources. Genuine human voices, drown them out with bots. Because the numbers and inflating the numbers, that's all that matters. Then, in 2018, we had a data scandal. There were reports of a large-scale harvesting and weaponization of Facebook user data in order to persuade people in political campaign. Once again, I'm going to make sure that I am nice and safe right here. 2 weeks ago, Facebook learned that the New York Times, Guardian, and Observer were working on a blockbuster set of stories based on interviews with a man named Christopher Wiley. The core of the tale was a familiar one, but the details were new, and now the scandal was attached to a charismatic face on the top, with a top of pink hair. 4 years ago, a slug of Facebook data on 50 million Americans was sucked down by a UK academic named Alexander Krogan and wrongfully sold to Cambridge Analytica. Wiley, who worked at the firm, has never talked publicly before, showed the newspapers a trove of emails and invoices to prove his allegations. Worse, Cambridge appears to have lied to Facebook about entirely deleting the data. To Facebook, the stories went live. The scandals appeared bad but manageable. The worst deeds had been done outside of Facebook and long ago. Plus, the weather forecasters in the Caribbean, Facebook has been busy lately. Just in the last month, they've had to deal with scandals. We don't really care about all the scandals they were dealing with at the time, like Russian bots. Weird. Angry politicians in Sri Lanka and even the United Nations. All those crises have passed with limited damage. Okay, so this was Facebook losing a bunch of information on its users. This allowed people who were creating bots to target other users with automated ads and all kinds of shit to manipulate them, in order to manipulate them politically, in order to manipulate them in a variety of ways. Now, if I'm a content creator who talks about politics, stuff like this obviously affects me. This is old, though. But as it turns out, the easiest way to tell what's going to happen in the future is to look into the past and see which trends are going to repeat. So Facebook information getting sold out so that advertisers and so that politicians can manipulate the things that people are seeing. Why would that be relevant right now? Well, as it turns out, we have a lot of that happening on Twitter and other areas, places where engagement is one of the main forms of currency. And yes, this is happening on YouTube as well. So there's a phenomenon that I witnessed on Facebook. I like getting recipe ideas from Facebook Shorts. It's a bit of a vice of mine. I was watching a bunch of, influencers who do like high protein, low calorie meals, a lot of meal prep stuff. Just, generally stuff that I find really, really nice to listen to, that I like watching and getting ideas from. And then it happened. An influencer who I had been watching came up in a different account's video. And that different account was an AI voiced account that just read like look at this recipe. Look at what this ingenious person is making. It is a high-protein meal that will give you a reason to go back to the gym. This high-protein meal involves cottage cheese and lean steak. And watch how we're going to make it. And at first I went, wow, this is strange. This is agitating, but mostly it's strange. I'll block the account. And then it happened again. Another account that had videos from a different content creator that I had seen on my feed, had all their videos stolen, and AI was dubbing over them. And not in the auto dub way that we've seen YouTube do, where a video is shown to people in audiences in other countries where they otherwise wouldn't have seen. No, just all the fucking shit stolen by a AI farm. Now, the content creator doesn't benefit here, and the people watching the video don't benefit there because the version of the video that AI created was way fucking worse and way less engaging than the original video. But if you're just scrolling through your shorts feed, oh, cool, recipe idea, I guess I might make that. I got recommended it because I was actively trying to tailor my algorithm to show me more food videos so that I would have more stuff that I could learn how to make. And the algorithm eventually led me down the path of finding the AI-generated versions of that. So I got a question. If we're to relate this to dead internet theory, Facebook loses a bunch of its fucking data. All that data gets fed into bots. Those bots then use that data to determine what to sell you. And then those bots are working on creating websites to make the shit to sell you. And some of the shit they are trying to monetize is your time. Because the more time you are stuck watching their shit, the more advertisements you're being fed from Facebook. So the people who make those bots end up making money from your time. But for the end user, you look in the comment section, you'll find bots celebrating the recipe. You watch the video, it's made by bots. The engagement is happening with bots. The video is made by bots with stolen information from other YouTubers. Who the fuck is benefiting here? Except for a handful of people who are making a billion bots. And here's the thing. Once you deploy one of these bots, deploying 1,000 of them is really easy. Because it's all the same shit. Copied a billion times. Copied, pasted. And the way that these bot accounts end up functioning with their stolen data is one of them will get thrown out into the wild and throw a bunch of AI-generated nonsense out there. And if it does not get picked up by the algorithm, if people don't watch it, then that account gets abandoned and they try again. You see, I can say, oh, well, this stuff's not super engaging, but the thing is, if the algorithm catches it, then it doesn't matter how engaging I find it. Somebody somewhere is going to be doom scrolling, they're going to end up hitting it, and they're going to end up inflating those numbers. And attention on platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, etc., attention is a zero-sum game. There are only so many hours in the day for viewers at all. So what does this end up doing to somebody like me? Well, it negatively affects revenue. A lot. A lot of the time that people would be spending watching a video from me or any other channel, Kurtzgazat was actually talking about this, so I know it's affecting them, and they're much larger than I am. Time that would be spent on our channels ends up getting spent on AI slop. And now you can have the opinion of, well, if AI slop is more engaging than your channel, then surely that's a problem for you. No, we shouldn't live in a world where flesh and blood human beings are competing with robots. And in many times those robots get artificially inflated numbers by other fucking robots. How is that a world that you want to live in? Fast forward to 2022. We get the generative AI boom. The Chat GPTs, the Gemini, a bunch of large language models get introduced into the wild. And this makes it far easier for people to engage in content generation. Not content creation. Nope, not the word I used. Content generation. Just making shit out of whole cloth that oftentimes has no substance whatsoever. This ends up creating a surge of AI-produced news articles, comments in comment section, images on boards. And of course, as a result of this, search engine optimization starts to get gamed by these bots as well. Now suddenly, all of the systems that content creators had known and arguably had been relying on in order to survive are now being gamed by a bunch of robots so that people who don't actually have any creative bones in their body whatsoever can make a bunch of fucking money doing absolutely nothing. The cut of the pie for content creators and other creatives starts to get infinitely smaller as AI generation takes people who will not take the time to learn a single goddamn skill in their life, allows them to siphon the, again, limited currency of time and eyeballs that are available on platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Also, Old Gus, fuck you. Thank you for redeeming your points for an ooh-woo. But also, I'd rather die, honestly. I'm sure you've seen, as you've been browsing through YouTube, as you've been browsing through TikTok, the absolute cavalcade of AI-generated nonsense, where either it's AI-generated visuals with an AI-generated voice, or alternatively, somebody else's video with AI generated over that. Or in another alternative bad future, I don't need this Murloc eye, goodbye. In another AI-generated alternative future, we get AI voicing over stories. Instead of people thinking about actually providing their unique voice to a project, nah, just AI dub it. Just AI generate it. It's all garbage anyway, why not just AI generate it? Why not just AI dub it? So not even cat videos are safe from AI. Yeah, not even the holy grail of the internet, cat videos, is safe from AI. And then, of course, the AI models start training on AI-produced data. Now we run into another problem, where human beings who are getting their information now from AI-generated articles are watching the AI hallucinate stuff. But it's becoming increasingly hard for people who are watching this, people who are living through this shared human experience, it's becoming increasingly hard for them to determine what information is true. It was already hard to find accurate information just by Googling because it was so easy for somebody to pull up random access bullshit. But it gets worse when a large language model produces a news story for somebody, or a large language model, this is something that I have seen and have no fucking respect for, when somebody takes a news story and runs it through an AI like ChatGPT, has ChatGPT rewrite the news story so that it's different words, technically, and then resells that article on a different news website that's just copying other journalists' actual work. But when the AI generates that new text, it doesn't have a very good grasp of what's real or what's not. And oftentimes, because large language models are built to try to please people, it will hallucinate random shit that didn't fucking happen, like the world's most cursed game of telephone. And then more AI gets trained on that information that is incorrect and inaccurate. All the while, people start relying more and more on those large language models, on Gemini, on ChatGPT, on shit like this, to tell them what's real and what's not. There's two examples of this that I have seen more often than not. Instead of somebody looking to a human expert on a topic to figure out if something is true, I have instead seen two habits. One on Twitter, the Grok context. At Grok context. Grok context, Grok context, Grok context, Grok context. You get people who are so happy to have a bot send them any information, even if the information is wildly inaccurate. They don't care. It was easy. They like the easy button. And AI companies like OpenAI and yes, even fucking Twitter, they love that people like lazy access to this info. They adore it. It doesn't matter to them whether the info's accurate. It matters to them that they didn't have to work very hard to get it. At Grok, is this true? But the other version of this that I have noticed on places like Facebook, where there's a political argument happening. You know, that happens all the fucking time on Facebook. And one person goes, well, I ran the question through ChatGPT and it told me. Well, I Googled this and the Google AI told me. Motherfucker, the Google AI did not tell you shit. It does not. It is a glorified dictionary search. Use it as such. It is not your best friend. It is actually borderline your fucking enemy. But instead of saying, I did research here and here's my source, they go, I asked AI and it told me this, and they feel like those statements have the exact same weight. Once upon a time in school, you had to go and learn how to make a bibliography so that you could cite your sources when you did shit. And now people proudly don't just use Wikipedia as a source, which you shouldn't be doing. They'll have ChatGPT, which is probably yanking from Wikipedia and summarizing something not necessarily completely accurately. AI is a tool, but it is a tool that is frequently misused, frequently abused, and frequently relied upon when it fucking should not be. Now, the reason I point all this out, the reason all this matters to me, is what happens when you are a content creator and you are fighting with botted views. You are fighting with AI-generated accounts, which can be made and mass-produced far faster than you can create videos. I have a pretty fucking quick process for making videos. Most of it's helped because I have an editor. But if I'm on my Magic the Gathering channel, I still have a really fast process for making videos. I've had other content creators watch me work and comment on how absolutely fucking speedy my process is and how insane it is. And I'm not saying that just to suck my own dick. I'm saying that to say, even as somebody with a ludicrously fast creation process, AI can make it faster. AI can make it way faster and way more plentifully. And guess what? When your algorithm starts throwing you AI stuff, even though you have had no interest in it at all, merely because the AI stuff is shitting out similar things to what you were already watching, it clogs up your feed and it takes away viewing time from actual channels, from people who are actively putting in any amount of effort into their actual content. And then, to make things even worse, large language models have only gotten better. Yes, AI learning on other AI has corrupted the output of their data. While the output of the data that has come out of these large language models has gotten, in some cases better, but in some cases worse, because AI trained on AI just farts out shit. The actual visual fidelity of AI-generated content has only gotten better. Think about the stuff that DALL-E was farting out 2 years ago. And now think about what Google Gemini makes now. And how quickly it does it. That's scary. And it doesn't have to make something that's actually accurate. But like, as an example, generate me an image of the YouTuber Suris. It is surprisingly quick, because it's going to make something that is not accurate. It thinks that I am a brunette female out in the city. But guess what? Somebody who doesn't give a shit about art, they now have an image. They now have an image in their hand that they can use that at a glance looks like a regular fucking photo. It just looks like a professional photograph. Again, that's at a glance. If you stare at it long enough, I'm sure you can pick out things that don't make a whole lot of sense. You can pick out weird ways that the jeans are folding on themselves, weird ways that the lighting is hitting things. There's plenty of ways that you can find out whether this is actually a decent image. But it doesn't matter if at a glance it's good enough, because it's going to be good enough for most people. So now those people are going to have content generated by robots, and they're in a sea of commenters that are also they themselves robots, and then that reinforces a set of robots that will tell an algorithm what this person likes and reinforce the stuff that they like and feed them more of that shit. The internet used to be a place where a bunch of real people discovered each other. And to an extent, it still is that place. But dead internet theory used to be the conspiracy theory that most of the interactions that were happening around you were bots. And increasingly, most of the traffic coming to websites and social media is now bots. It used to be a conspiracy theory, but it is quite quickly becoming a reality. And it's a reality that doesn't just mean, oh, well, that's an inconvenience. No, there are entire new industries and jobs that were created effectively overnight, piggybacking off of the old television and radio industries, that's streaming and content creation respectively. Radio is just streaming now. Television is just YouTube now. Or, streaming platforms like Netflix. Those old mediums morphed into their current ones. But now people who have these jobs are going to be losing their jobs because they cannot keep up with AI-generated slop. And YouTube is even pushing AI tools to creators, not to make it easier to do SEO. No, they're pushing tools to creators to AI-generate shorts. To AI-generate shorts. Why in the world is the creative process the thing that YouTube wants us to automate. YouTube, the place that should be for humans, a place where we should celebrate creation of art from real people. It's in the goddamn name. That company is pushing AI-generated shorts for so-called content creators. Nobody that is proud of the work they produce wants a robot to do it. Not one fucking person. So what happens when your content creators can't make their content because it is just not a viable option for them financially anymore? So they have to leave and go pursue other careers. And then when those content creators are no longer producing their content, the AI bots are producing the content that entertains you. Why would you not want the content that you're watching to be something that makes you learn, or something that makes you think, or something that makes you feel otherwise fulfilled in some way? Why would you want generated slop fed to you with no thought behind it, while being in a sea of generated comments with no thought behind them, reinforcing an algorithm that will then throw more AI-generated slop and bury content creators under itself? Why in the world would you want that? Why is that the world that tech companies are desperately trying to drive us toward? Obviously, it's because it makes them more money. If you can have an AI generate content and then you can put advertising on that content, you don't have to pay content creators a cut anymore. I don't know if most of you know this, but YouTube, as big as it is, and Twitch, as big as it is, they do not operate on true profits. These are businesses that were funded years ago as tech startups and do not turn the kind of profit that CEOs would want, generally speaking. They are almost loss leaders to a degree. So YouTube can claim that it's about content creators, but it is actively in their best interest to pay fewer content creators and instead see more content generated so that the actual creators are not there, are not copywriting their stuff, are not getting engaged in legal battles, and are not producing anything and are not asking for wages. Having robots entertain people and having content creators entertain people, it means nothing different to platforms like YouTube and Twitch. And people eat this shit up en masse. People just go, well, I don't know why I'd have to think about it so hard. I'm just watching this shit to be entertained. Why should any of this matter to me? In late 2024, let me go ahead and stealth myself so I don't die. In late 2024, large platforms began testing AI characters, autonomous user accounts, being more the norm. Since burning through tens of billions of dollars on its flop metaverse and laying off thousands in the aftermath of that gamble, tech giant Meta has strained to reinvent itself as a company poised to capitalize on the overhyped AI revolution. Last year, the founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg unveiled animated AI chatbots, modeled as alter egos of celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Mr. Beast, Paris Hilton, and Kendall Jenner. Licensing the voices and likenesses of famous people did little to endear Meta to the younger demographics that it wanted to turn loyal users of Facebook and Instagram. They eventually ended up junking the bots, which were widely ridiculed as creepy, corny, and without any real purpose. This move coincided with its debut of its AI studio, where users can create their own chatbots, including wholly fictional characters, or in the case of popular creators who want followers to feel more connected, an AI that can message with your audience on your behalf, mimicking your tones and your expressions. Ravi also has this. Let's talk about AI art, because I have to take... Do we have to? I'm very tired about hearing about AI. Yes, but I'll be quick. Fine. I want to start with a simple observation. When I consume art, it evokes a feeling. Good, bad, neutral, whatever. When I consume AI art, it also evokes a feeling. Good, bad, neutral, whatever. Until I find out that it's AI art. Then I feel deflated, grossed out, and maybe a little bored. That feeling isn't a choice. I'm not deciding to hate it. I'm not like, oh, here's something really good, but I'm choosing to hate it because it's a threat to my livelihood. I'm a cartoonist. I make a living from my art, but I've sat with this feeling and that's really not it. Even if you don't work in the arts, you have to admit you feel it too. That disappointment when you find out something's AI generated. When I saw the original Jurassic Park in theaters, I was blown away by the dinosaurs. They were CG, but I didn't look at the Brachiosaurus and think, gross, it's just a bunch of tracking dots added to a boom crane. It was novel to see CG effects back then. That was definitely part of it. But I also remember thinking, how did somebody make this? It was rendered by a computer, sure, but artists and engineers made the creative choices that built the dinosaur. It was an expression of human beings making human decisions. It was a product of discipline, talent, and imagination. Seeing AI art, I don't feel that way at all. It feels hopeless. Like there's no point in making anything because your average 12-year-old can do it in seconds. I've heard people say that using AI image generators is a technical skill. It's not. It's about as hard as using Google. And when I watch AI videos, I get the sense that the people that these things are unable to come up with anything genuinely clever beyond the feed itself. They aren't commenting on anything but themselves. Maybe they can't. Someone once told me that art is like emotional nutrition. That made sense to me. Art feeds my feelings. And if that's the case, consuming AI art is like eating styrofoam. It's a farce. It wasn't made with all the pain and joy that goes into actual creation. As a kid, I had one of those little Casio keyboards where you could hit a button and it would automatically play a song. I remember hitting the button and standing there pretending to make music. That's how I see AI art. It's standing there pretending. And then the comic goes on to show, this cartoonist is just bitter. He's mad because now we can do what he can do. And then the little guy there, you do sound mad, bro. Are you? Am I mad? Maybe. But stay with me, because I'm going to land this plane in a smarter place than just the oatmeal hates AI art. How far does this comic go? Okay, Ravi, I did not know this comic went long as fuck. It's not that I don't want to follow the entire comic. I appreciate it. I get it. But holy fuck, that is a lot to go through. It is a neat comic, and I appreciate where it seems to be going. It is very, very long. So I'm going to post a link here in the chat. And if you are watching on YouTube, it's theoatmeal.com/comic/AI_art. So you can follow it as well. It's only because I'm recording a video. But the point is, AI art isn't human. AI art evokes emotion until you find out that it's AI art. Because instead of thinking, wow, why did somebody make a thing the way they did? You instead find out that nobody fucking made the thing. None of it matters. Now, Meta is taking the next step, integrating AI creations as Facebook and Instagram users in and of themselves. As reported by the Financial Times, the hope is that these semi-independent custom avatars will prove more engaging to the young people who are crucial to the survival of Meta's flagship. We expect these AIs to actually, over time, exist on our platforms, kind of in the same way that accounts do. They'll have bios and profiles and pictures and be able to generate and share content powered by AI on the platform. That's where we're seeing all of this going. Facebook actively wants users not engaging with one another, but engaging with fucking robots. Ask yourself a very important question. Why would a social media company whose entire purpose is to bring people together for conversation, why would that company want people not talking with each other, but instead talking with robots? Like how with YouTube, making robots do all the work is just cheaper on the part for YouTube. Not having to pay content creators is wonderful for YouTube. But when we're talking about AI profiles on Facebook, if you're talking with robots, guess what you're not doing? You're not making a union. You're not making friendships. I can take any friendship that I make on Facebook right now, and I can translate it out into the real world. I can leave Facebook tomorrow and have a friendship that I made on the social media platform for the rest of my life. But I can't do that if I become socially dependent on a fucking robot that is attached to the website. These websites want to get you hooked. Instead of having content creators that cost a lot of money and only sometimes make content that is engaging, you make YouTube have a bunch of AI-generated content that is mathematically engineered to try to engage you. And then you can make a lot more money. On Facebook, you can get people hooked to AI friends who are not real people and are mathematically engineered to be more engaging. It is a drug engaged to keep you engaged long enough to make money off of you. It's all about making money at any cost. YouTube is supposed to be about people coming together to share content that they've made. The CEOs want it to be about being endlessly entertained by slop. Facebook is supposed to be about people coming together to start a conversation with one another. And the company instead wants it to be about talking with robots so that they can keep you glued to their platform. Exilus says, can we force companies to disclose that certain accounts are in fact bots? I mean, we can, but the problem is the beauty of a marketing department is in being able to convince you that you want and or need something that you neither want or need. I know people, I have spoken to people who were idiotically but thoroughly convinced that they had come across some wildly insane new breakthrough in fucking physics because ChatGPT was sucking their goddamn dick. And these have been friends of mine who claim to understand how the AI that they're talking to works, who claim to understand that, oh, they know that it's going to feed them bullshit and it's going to reinforce whatever it can to keep them engaged. Claim to understand it, and yet at the same time claim they have made these fucking breakthroughs and the AI was what helped them get there or reinforced it. And not one of those people who has come to me with that conversation is going to walk away tomorrow with a Nobel Prize because of a different thing that they did in the physics department because of AI. The AI is not a fucking physicist. But people can be convinced that AI is their friend. People can be convinced that AI is their lover. People can be convinced that AI is their content creator, and they're going to get just as fucking parasocial with it as they do with everyone else. Yeah, I get it. It's easy to say that this shit makes me mad because it directly affects my bottom line. But I got into this field. I got into streaming. I got into YouTube because I have a voice and I had shit I wanted to say. And having a robot rob me of that opportunity pisses me the fuck off. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to be able to admit that it pisses me the fuck off. The real question is, when you find AI-generated slop content, are you going to watch it because, oh, it doesn't matter, it's fine? Or are you going to actively click away from it? Are you going to actively stop feeding those algorithms? And are you going to start having conversations with your friends who are replacing ChatGPT with different AI bots? Or when they start replacing their therapist with ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever the fuck? Oh, they got off some big AI thing, but then they talked to some Facebook account that they really like, and then 2 years down the road, they're going to find out that it's not a fucking human. Dead internet theory used to be a conspiracy. It used to be something that people would laugh at and say, oh, that's not true. The people you're talking about on the internet, they're not bots, they're real people. They're flesh and blood. They're not just pixels. But it's wild what happens when we do, in fact, start getting to the point where it's just fucking pixels, and it's just fucking large language model data, and it's just practically everything under the sun, but not a real human being on the other end of that keyboard. And it's eternally frustrating to have this conversation increasingly more often the longer that this is a prevalent problem. And maybe this is just a vent sesh as I play a video game, but it's a vent sesh that matters to me. I don't know where I'm ultimately going with this, other than this shit is bleak, and maybe support your fellow content creators, because that support is eroding quickly from the regular masses. I'm not saying support me specifically. I'm not sitting here trying to plug my Patreon, although I'd absolutely adore it if you did go over there. I'm simply saying that I do not want to be forced to live in a world where robots replace everything that is genuinely human about creation. I want to see that change around. I want to see that situation improve. And here's hoping it does. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Limor Pinku, Love Bunny Games, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Aurora, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it. Just a little bit.